us as influencers, we're doing a lot that could put us out of business, both personally or for our businesses. It's not too hard to say the wrong thing and get sued. So the policy is called a media liability policy because it's covering you for your media business, which is what we're all doing. It also should include what they call general liability, which is property damage and bodily injury.
Hey everyone, today I have a very special guest, Doug. He is the founder of Review Business Academy. He also has at least two YouTube channels that I'm aware of with 15,000 subscribers each, a travel channel and a reviews channel. And he owns his own insurance company. And that's a big topic that we are going to cover today because not too many Amazon influencers think about needing insurance, but liability insurance for media, cyber, and professional insurance, once you get to a certain level, it's very much so needed. So I want to give a warm welcome to Doug so he can share all of his knowledge about insurance, about his business, and his Amazon influencer journey, and how he's leveraged VAs in that business. Welcome, Doug.
Thank you. That's quite the intro. I like that. I'm going to have to use that for myself, like recording.
Yeah, well, you have a lot of things going on. We were just kind of chatting about it briefly.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit first about the Amazon Influencer Program and how did you get started? When did you get started? And about how much are you earning right now in the program?
I guess it's about 6 years ago now. Long story short, we did exotic world travel for YouTube. We were doing traveling all over the world. We were literally in India when the pandemic started. And we're the last flight coming into JFK, which is a little terrifying when you get to JFK and it's totally empty and you're almost stuck in India for a pandemic. But we got back and we lived in New York and they kind of really locked us down pretty good. So we were in the house working remotely for about a month. And my wife's like, can't be in this house anymore. How about we get an RV? And I was like, hell yeah. Like what guy's wife says, let's get an RV and they don't say yes. So we get the RV and I've got to get all this stuff for the RV to outfit it. And I'm researching on YouTube to find what I should get. And I'm finding all this content, but it's not horribly interesting. It's like, guys sitting in farms who know more about generators than I will ever know, but just sitting in the barn, like talking about generators. And I was like, this is painful. And I could do this and make it a little more interesting and still get the information across. So I started to do that to fill the algorithm on YouTube while we weren't doing the worldwide travel stuff. And lo and behold, Amazon reaches out to us to say, we're starting this new beta program for influencers to be on Amazon. And they invited us to go on Amazon. They're like, all you have to do is take out the call to action and this, that, the other thing, and post your YouTube videos on Amazon. And that's how we got started. And honestly, we thought, oh, if we make like $100 a month, that'd be fun or whatever. And it absolutely exploded. It turned into a huge thing. And we've been over 5 digits a month for many, many years. It is a big, vibrant business. And, in terms of what we're talking about, we could not have scaled it to this without a VA. That really is a key part of the scaling the business.
Yeah. No, it sounds like you've been around the Amazon Influencer Program for a long time. 6 years. That is wild. And you've been able to hit 5 figures consistently for a long time now using your systems, using the help of a VA. But it sounds like you also have a insurance company. Can you tell me a little bit more about your business? And are you specialized in supporting creators and influencers, or it's a much more general type of insurance company?
So it is more of a general type of insurance company. If it says insurance and it's not life insurance or health insurance, I do it. I do what they call property and casualty insurance. But my father was in the insurance business. He had an insurance agency, and I went to college as a marketing major. I had no idea what insurance was other than I knew my dad did insurance and I knew he made me pay for my own auto insurance, right? That was about all I knew. But I'm in business school, and as I'm going through business school, in every class, insurance is coming up as a topic. And I'm like, okay, so this is kind of a legit thing the old man's doing. Let me explore it a little bit. And I started doing internships at insurance companies and that kind of stuff. And honestly, I really liked it, which is probably a little disturbing and weird, but like, I really feel like I'm a trusted advisor to my clients, whether it be on a personal level or for their businesses. because I really protect them from the things that will put them out of business, you know? And for us as influencers, we're doing a lot that could put us out of business, both personally or for our businesses. You know, it's not too hard to say the wrong thing and get sued. Or I'll give you a crazy example where I almost
Mm.
needed my own insurance. Like I do a lot of reviews of these RC cars, right? And I'm out playing with the RC car, and it was kind of like a big RC, big fast one. And all of a sudden, it like something went wrong and it took off and went across the field I was on and went shooting across a big road. Like, and somehow miraculously it went through all the cars and didn't hit a car. But like,
Ooh.
what if it hit a car? What if somebody freaked out and dodged my RC car and hit a pedestrian or crashed into a
Mm.
tree or any of those things? I would have absolutely been sued for causing that accident. And if you didn't have insurance, if you thought your homeowner's insurance was going to pay for that, you can forget that. It's not going to happen. So that's actually a real world situation which happened to me a couple months ago, which could have easily led to a real insurance.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like that particular scenario and what you said a little bit earlier about saying something wrong could potentially also get you sued. And that's where insurance helps. Insurance covers the bills that would be required to pay for an attorney to cover the lawsuit. Does it also cover any potential damages if you're ruled against, or is it just cover your attorney fees? Can you tell us
No,
more?
no, no. It basically, let's say a brand sues you because you said their whatever sucks and they
Hmm.
say it damaged our sales and they sue you. The insurance company will actually hire the law firm to defend that lawsuit. And then if you become liable for what you said, the insurance policy will pay to X number of dollars to pay those damages.
Okay. Pretty much it covers the attorney fees and anything that, as far as fees coverage, anything that you might be liable for up to a certain dollar amount. What would you recommend as far as coverage? Is there certain amounts, and how much does it cost for insurance typically for an Amazon influencer? Now, I know that I went through your company and I cover two different companies, so I imagine it's a little bit more expensive. But for
Right.
a typical person who has, I don't know, let's just say a couple thousand videos on their storefront and on YouTube, how much do you think a policy like that would cost someone?
Okay. So the policy is called a media liability policy because it's covering you for your media business, which is what we're all doing. It also should include what they call general liability, which is property damage and bodily injury, which is what would have happened with my RC car. And
Mm.
it comes in brackets of $1 million, you know, like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, and up, depending upon, you know, what your exposure is and what your perceived risk would be. And it's generally, let's call it in round numbers, $1,000, $1,200 to put that in place. You
That's a
know,
year.
that's a year. That's a year.
Okay.
So you're talking about like $100 a month in terms of, budgeting for what kind of an impact it has on your overall business, which if you were to put it in our place, like if I'm doing $10,000 of revenue a month, then $100 expense is a very low percentage in terms of my whole business operation. And, it could really keep the business operation going instead of going instantly to zero. It is an important thing, and it becomes more important every day because as what we do becomes more public and there becomes more of a history. Like if you talk about me, like I got 6, 7 years of videos out there that every time you keep adding to that volume of content, your chances of something happening increases.
So as you add more content, does the premium increase as a result of that?
The premium's based on your revenue more than the amount of content. Typically, no. Like I've done some bigger YouTubers, and their insurance really only gets up to like $5,000 a year.
Mhm.
The only way you can change that is like I have a client who has a podcast where they like to talk about really edgy political stuff. So, um, their premium's significantly higher because their chances of getting on the wrong side of somebody who's going to sue them is higher. But like for what we do, I think you're
Yeah,
probably going to be in that $1,000 to $5,000 range, depending upon the volume
gotcha.
of your operation.
Yeah, and for as little as $100 a month, you're getting peace of mind from someone potentially suing you for someone that could get hurt as you're doing your product review, or maybe something that you're saying that mistakenly.
Listen, I mean, I'm the insurance guy, right? So I come up with all these things because literally see crazy things go on every day. But
Mhm.
like another example, which I would share is like I live in Florida, so I do a lot of snorkel gear, stand up paddle boards, the safety vests, and it's the same thing. Like all that has to happen is I say that this snorkel gear is good and you should use it. Somebody goes on vacation and their 12-year-old accidentally drowns or almost drowns or
Mm,
something
right.
happens, they're not going to be able to go sue the little company in China. So the next target is going to be us. They're going to be flailing around looking for people. And if they can say, hey, Doug was in his pool and said this stuff was fine and my kid's now hurt,
Mm.
there's a path there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like when I first saw this in one of the Facebook groups, it was like a new just fear unlocked for me. It's like because there's so much that we're saying, and you're always worried about the little specs that you might get wrong, and then the brands, they always come back and say, hey, especially brand deals, they'll say, oh, you got this wrong, help us fix this. And sometimes I don't want to fix it. I just want to put like kind of like a little subtitle that says,
Right.
here's the correction.
Right.
But then that maybe is open up to potential liability there. You never know with these potential things that might come up. I guess with what you said earlier, you said general liability and media liability, and there's like a lot of words and there's a lot of different types of policies. I also hear like errors and omissions. I hear of professional insurance. And can you tell us like the difference between all of this and how someone should think about and what type of coverage and policy that they actually need?
In a simplified sense, the most important thing is this media liability insurance. Now, media liability insurance falls under the umbrella of what's called professional liability insurance. So, like, I have professional liability insurance for my insurance business. If I gave you bad advice and I said, buy this policy, and you were expecting it to cover something and it didn't cover it and everything went wrong, and then you sued me for giving you bad advice, that's my professional liability insurance, which in the insurance business is called errors and omissions because I made an error or an omission in getting the insurance. In a lawyer or a doctor's case, it's called malpractice, but it's the same thing. They gave bad advice. So anytime you're writing insurance for knowledge, for advice and consent, that is falls under that umbrella of professional liability insurance. And so in media liability insurance, we're covering our speech and our activities while we're creating this media product. Bottom line, if they were going to call somebody and say, hey, I want to get insurance for my business as a content creator, I need a media liability policy, would be the correct way to start that conversation. I can tell you that your generic insurance companies and agents like the State Farm guy or the Allstate guy or Farmers, if you call Farmers, none of them do this kind of insurance. It's kind of like more of a technical kind of insurance product. I happen to do it because of my story, right? Because my father owned the insurance agency. I came
Mhm.
into the business. I went to all the best schools for insurance. And then because of that, I naturally kind of fell into a niche where because I had more knowledge, I got involved in more complicated things. And so the complicated things have become natural for me, but they are not natural. Your State Farm agent is going to have no idea how to do media liability insurance.
And I learned that the hard way. I am with Progressive. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to call Progressive because they cover my home and my car. But then I was
Right.
like, oh, well, we can't help you, but we can transfer you. And so I went to like State Farm and then like Travelers and then another insurance company. They kept transferring me over and over. I guess it's their standard operating procedure. If you can't help someone, we'll sell you as a referral to a different
To
insurance
somebody else.
company.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And it went on for like an hour. And after that, I was like, I'm done. And then that's when I saw that you had an insurance company. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah. Yeah. And it happens to be exactly the kind of thing that I have a good, strong experience base with that. Happened with our friend Chris also. He heard our
Mm,
conversation. He's like, I need to get this. And he's like, I think he had Allstate. And I was like, well, you call your Allstate guy, but he's not going to be able to do it. It's like, all right, well, I like my Allstate guy. He's local. Let me call him. And he called him, and the Allstate guy's like, I have no idea.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so difficult to find someone. But
Yeah.
I guess do you have to have an LLC before you get insurance?
No, you could do it as a sole well, that would be technically called what's a sole proprietorship.
Okay.
So just in your personal name, you could. It has no impact in the ability to get insurance or getting insurance or not getting. It actually makes it even more important because if you don't have an LLC and you're doing this business and somebody sues you, your house, your car, your income for the rest of your life is now the target, not your
Hmm.
business.
Right, right. So I guess if you do have a business, you have an LLC, and let's just say you have a VA, what if your VA makes a mistake that causes damages? Will your insurance company also cover that?
Sure, it will absolutely cover that, because they're operating as part of your business, as one of your for your business on your behalf. Just like
Okay.
if I had an employee sitting here in my office, it would cover their error the same exact way.
Okay. Good. Thank you. And then transitioning to kind of VAs, can you take me back to the moment that you decided that you needed to hire your first VA? What was happening in your business and what made you pull the trigger on that?
So, literally, probably almost 2 years to the day, we went to a creator event. It was in Orlando. I think it was called Creator Fest. They've kind of changed their name, and it was this huge, super cool event with like lots of very professional speakers and hundreds of creators. It was a great event, and it was all about learning to do our business better. And one of the presenters that we went to was somebody who had a company which was promoting VAs. Honestly, I really didn't really understand or had any concept of the whole VA thing, but I sat in his presentation for an hour and we were like, oh my God, we need to do this. It's like the only way we can do everything we need to do. So we actually engaged them. Their thing was very expensive, very involved, and honestly, we didn't have a very good result in the end from them. But in the process, because we were now had our eyes open to getting the
Mhm.
VA, Nikki, my wife, took on the job of being the VA recruiter, and she went to online PH, whatever
Online
the
jobs
site
at
is.
PH. Yep.
Yeah, wherever it was. We have 3 VAs who work full time for us who we absolutely love. And honestly, we're kind of considering planning, trying to figure out a way to actually personally make a trip to the Philippines and like take them to like a resort for a weekend kind of as a thank you thing, and it's always nice to meet people in person kind of thing. And it's been a lot of years they're working with us, so we're all in on this thing in terms of effectiveness, and our we love our people who we're working with.
That's awesome. I was actually telling my team about that not so long ago. I wanted to go to, was it Boracay? It's like this really amazing resort and beach,
Right.
and I want to meet everyone on my team eventually. And so, hopefully, if we're still doing well next year before
Right.
typhoon season, I want to meet everyone there, bring their families, just meet everyone.
Yeah, because
Because
I mean, just like the VAs are in a relative sense, the
mhm.
dollar goes far there. It's the same thing when you go travel there. The only thing with getting there is it's a little hard to get to the Philippines. Not so easy to get there, but I think it's worthwhile and something we really it's on our high up on our to do list.
Awesome. And how long have you had, and how many VAs do you have, and how long have you had them?
We have 3 VAs, 2 of whom are editors, video editors. That's all they do for me is video editing. And then I have another VA who she does like my posting of the videos and creating the thumbnails and that kind of work, mostly on YouTube, but also on Amazon as well. So um, those are our 3. Our Hail Mary, in case anybody ever runs into one that they don't have. I would love to find like a medium manager, somebody who really understands Facebook, right? Because I think Facebook is really valuable, but at the same time, I have a very hard time following and figuring out Facebook and having the time to effectively and properly use Facebook. So if I ever found a VA that was like a Facebook guru, I would be all in on that.
Yeah, and there's just so much talent in the Philippines that you can find. You probably could find one just by looking up Facebook like marketing specialist or
Right.
something like that,
Right.
right? Because there's not just VA virtual assistant is just a generic catch-all role for like a remote worker that people use,
Right.
but there are people with bachelor's degrees in very specific areas and niches that
Right.
can help us as Amazon influencers or just
Right.
influencers in general in the social media. So
Yeah.
not too many people realize that. But it sounds like you might be looking for another VA in the future who can help you specifically with Facebook.
Yeah, it would be really good. And I will say also that I did at one point have a video editor who was in Pakistan. And it was kind of interesting. I did genuinely like him and he did a good job, but I really there's something magical about the Philippine people. They're just so great to work with. So I think it's a great place to start and do that stuff.
Can you tell me about how many hours it took to, let's just say, hire and train a virtual assistant from the Philippines? So what did that process look like for you?
It didn't take an inordinate number of hours to find the person, right? And so she went through a process of getting like basically their resume or they'd send a digital resume, which you could kind of tell instantly most of them look very the same, probably had a little help putting it together. So then our process ended up, we would like kind of send them a test project to do so we could see kind of how quick they were, the quality of the work they did. And then it was always very important with us to get on a live call like this with them and make sure that the communication was good and we had a good feeling about them, a good connection with them on a like, because you're working with them a lot. It's a lot of hours a week that you're spending with somebody and relying on them. Like, you're not spending a ton of time with them, but you're interacting with them and they're in essence your business. So like you want to make sure that you have a good connection and a level of trust with them. And then I found training them, and this is a little bit because of what we do, right? Instead of spending a lot of time directly training them, I would like, let's say I wanted to teach somebody my system to post a video on YouTube. I would go and shoot a video and say, okay, this is what you do. Do this, do this, do this, the other thing, so that, when I hired the second VA to post something else or, things happen. We had one who worked with us for like a year and then she met a boy and went off to go do something else. So we had to hire somebody new. But I had like a library of these they're not really classes, but how I wanted our business to be done. And I was able to say, okay, here's how we do this. And and then I would walk through it with them in person and talk to them and answer questions and stuff. But they always had the videos as a resource. Like, let's say 2 weeks later, they weren't exactly sure which category I chose or how. They could always go back to the video before they called me and said, hey, how do I do this?
Yeah, no, it sounds like you've built up a big catalog of video learning so that your VAs and your future VAs could refer to as you're training them. And that's something that we also recommend in our HireUp course to create Loom videos. As you are doing the process for your day-to-day Amazon influencer program, just click on Loom and it records your screen, it records yourself using your webcam, and then you begin to build that library of videos that can hand off to a VA quite easily. Um, and it sounds like you've also kind of gotten to a groove of how to do this, but for people who just are unfamiliar, HireUp teaches all of this as far as how to train, manage, and use our systems for effective working with a remote worker. But going on to what tools that you use for your virtual assistants, I know that you used to use ViroView and Oink, but lately you've been talking a lot about Logi 5. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I have been talking about Logi 5. I am loving this Logi 5, which is a new software, very much like Viral View and Oink, with one serious twist in that it really does use actual AI in the back end running it. So it does a whole lot of similar things, but much, much more efficiently. I think the easiest example, which resonates with everybody because we all do it, is, you know, if you think about your process and you want to get samples or reach out to a brand through a creator connection campaign, all these softwares have kind of like a generic thing where you could kind of create a presentation that you're going to make to the brand and say, I'm Doug, I have this experience, I would like to get your product and do a video for you, right? And I could tell you for myself, I worked really hard to try to make those things not sound generic, but at the same time, they needed to be generic because there needed to be a volume of activity requesting these things. And you couldn't sit there and write a personal letter every time you wanted to request a product. So Logi 5 has actual AI, which will, like, if you say, I want to get a sample of this product, it writes out a whole dialogue which sounds like it's my voice and sounds personal. It's like, hey, I love working in the garage and I saw you have this floor jack that's available. I did a video that was similar to your floor jack, and it shares the link from your library of videos on Amazon, and it says, in this video, I did X, Y, and Z, and I think that would be an amazing way to demonstrate your product. It is like this great sounding, personalized communication with an actual link to the content that you've made that's relevant to the conversation, which is just so different. And for me, I've
Hmm.
absolutely found that number one, it's faster, it's better, and that has improved my conversion rate and communication level with these brands, because you got to imagine whoever's at the brand is getting 100 generic emails a day that all look kind of the same. And look, I love Rob and I love what he did. I remember he did a video like a year ago on how to make that email and use his template. And
Hmm.
as much as I tried to make the template different and me, it still ended up being kind of 80% Rob, what Rob had said would work. And I have to imagine they have to look at 100 of those every day that look absolutely kind of the same. And there is no way that this Logi communication looks the same. It absolutely is universally different. And I think that kind of encapsulates it. And it goes throughout the entire process. If you go and upload a video, it
Hmm.
creates a really nice AI thumbnail. It gives you titles, descriptions, which you could also upload it to. It's integrated now with YouTube and Pinterest. He's working on getting the certification for Meta to be able to upload to Instagram and Facebook. But like, if you wanted to have your VA, you know, only have to load it once and have it go to YouTube and have it go to Pinterest and have it go to Amazon, it's a platform to do that.
Nice. It sounds like Logi 5 leverages a lot of AI tools to help with messaging brands, titles, uploads, things like that. Does it require token usage? Because I know a lot of AI tools require tokens, and once you use them, it's like, oops, you're out for the day. Is it anything like that for Logi 5?
I am sure it requires token usage, but not on our end. That's Logi's problem to figure that out in their
Okay.
budget. There's definitely different levels that you could choose. Like, there's a free version which you could use if you go. Then if you upgrade to an inexpensive version, let's say a silver version, you have more tools, but not all of the tools. And then obviously by the time you get to platinum, you have everything that we've ever dreamed up. Um, and the other thing that I will say is, in the creation of this, it was really an interesting process in that there were about 40 of us who helped advise uh, Ehud as he developed this thing. And really, absolute truth, we would sit in Zoom calls, meetings with all of us, and I'd be like, my personal thing coming from YouTube is I always wished we had like YouTube style data on Amazon. Like, it infuriates me that we don't get any information from Amazon. And I said, can you make it so we have more information, more aligned with like the kind of information that we get from YouTube, so we could decide, is my video working? Is it not video? Is it not working? Why is it not working? And he built, literally in like 2 weeks, he built all that into the system. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is crazy cool. So like, things like you can go and look at, let's say you go to a product and it'll show you like the top videos, how they're performing. It gives you analytics of like when they're showing up in which carousel, what the average view time is for the videos, like lots of information, so that if you're trying to be more effective as a content creator, and you actually go and look and reflect on what you're doing to evaluate how to improve it going forward, there's completely actionable information there.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question around the data. So as you know, I do a lot of product research to buy products to review, and I know that your strategy is more around the samples. But can you tell
Right.
us a little bit more if there are product research tools like that? Tell us a little bit more about the data. Does it show the number of influencer videos per video? You mentioned the average watch duration. Is that just like the upper carousel? Can you dive into a little bit more about the data and what we could potentially use for product research?
Yeah, it's that same AI and the data. And those of us who have been around in the Amazon influencer program have known that Logi, the original version, which is was around for a very, very long time, and that was sourcing data from the very beginning with Amazon. So he has a very deep pool of data already to work with. And another example of the data that we all look at, like, I don't know about you and what you do, but I used to use Keepa to look at the
Hmm.
sales history of the products. So in essence, all that information is built into Logi. Um, and it's really cool when you hit the analytics button for the sales history data and stuff. And there are 4 charts, and this was one of the kind of smart things that I thought he did. That's like, sometimes you do little things that are actually really helpful. And like, one of it is it'll track, let's say for the year, the ranking of that product, right? And so if you're ranked 10, it's better than if you're ranked 1,000. But normally on the graph, when you look at, let's say, Keep or something, like, it be going down, and down is good because you're going down to being ranked
Hmm.
10 from the thousand. So he's got all 4 of the graphs like right on top of each other, and he oriented them so you basically always want to see them go up, right? So like, for the one where your sales ranking is, 1 is at the top and
Yeah.
1,000's at the bottom, right? So you still want to see that going trending up, and or your sales volume is inverted in the sense that like 1,000's at the top, 1,000 items is at the top, and 1's at the bottom. But when you visually look at it, you want all those graphs to be trending up,
Hmm.
to make it easier for you to analyze the data quickly. Um, and in that package, you have the sales volume, you have the ranking, you have your average. It tracks your average ratings. I'm
Hmm.
trying to think, what was the fourth one? There's definitely a fourth one there, but yeah, there's a ton of data there, and it's easily accessible. And again, it's that thing that it gets kind of like interpreted by the AI. And if you can actually ask the AI, does it make sense for me? Does it not make sense? Or it might say this is a good trending product or not a good trending product. And there are scores for even the brands, right? It's like a spam score, like, and it rates the brands based
Hmm.
on, how often they change the ASINs, how often they create a creator connection campaign and then kind of create another one that undoes the last one. And I wouldn't, all of these things, even like when it gives you a rating for a product, say 0 to 100, it gives you a rating for the product and how it applies to you. I don't use those things as like a rule. but like if I see the spam scores all the way in the red, it's like, okay, I need to look at this more and evaluate it more. Or if I see that the score for the product is 100, I now know, okay, this is something I want to do a deep dive on and figure out if it's right for me. It's definitely, for me at least, it's not a thing like, oh, it's 100, buy it, or the spam scores in the red, I'm not looking at this, but it's a quick window into like flashing a light that I should either look at something or not look at something in more depth.
That's amazing. I'm gonna have to take some more time to dig into Logify. It sounds like it has a lot of data. It has a UI that you can easily tell whether it could be a good product or not. But I've also heard that it's been marketed as a tool to replace a virtual assistant. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I totally disagree with that. It's listen, every tool that we get, whether it was, it's a calculator or a spreadsheet or AI, everything makes things more efficient, right? And so I think it shifts what our VA would do. And you could now use your VA to do those more in-depth things, that in-depth research that you want to do, except now they'll have tools so that they can do that research for you and help you grow your business that way. So I think if it makes uploading a video faster, right? You now have more time for your VA to work on a different project to help you grow your business. So I wouldn't ever use it as a replacement, but I would use it as a tool to make people more efficient, so you could better use your people.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I first heard of that, I was like, can this actually help me do things like edit videos? Because that's what a lot of my video editors and VAs do is edit our videos. Tagging dead ASINs, unavailable products, things like that. Can it do any of that type of thing in the background, like tagging
Absolutely,
unavailable products?
it is a little bizarrely crazy how well all that kind of stuff works. Even things like joining the campaigns, which the other tools you kind of have to run it like once a day or twice a day to go on Creator Connection and find campaigns, and it slows down your
Hmm.
computer and you got things flashing up and it's just annoying. It just silently runs in the background and it's always analyzing and adding campaigns that apply to you, and or bringing to your attention possible campaigns that might make sense based on your history. And it just does that quietly in the background. It has a health check, which the health check, like if it flags an ASIN that's unavailable in the tool, you go there and it says, okay, you're this is unavailable now. These are three items which are very similar, which you might want to add. And then there's also a functionality there if there was something that was a creator connection campaign that maybe you wanted to reach out to them and request a sample. You just click one button there and it'll go create the kind of communication we were talking about. So all that stuff is built into it.
Nice. Does it automatically cross post too, or no? Like
So
YouTube
the
can
cross
cross post
post
regions?
is developing. So you can
Hmm.
cross post to Canada, UK, maybe Australia, I think. And that is obviously, this whole thing is still um a very advanced beta version. It's still rolling out now and growing and developing with every minute. I mean, it's completely functional, but that would be an example of like the still kind of little bit beta-ness. Like you have those three geos are available to you to cross post to them, and it's developing and it'll be added eventually to do them all. Right now, Cha-Ching is the only tool that I kept and continue to use. I turned the rest of them off, but because for me, I got a catalog of 7,000 videos, which I'm uploading 25 a day to 16 geos. That Cha-Ching is perfect for that. Whether they'll add that functionality, I don't know, because honestly, we all don't know how effective it is. I don't know if I'm wasting my time uploading them yet or not. We'll see. Only when I get a bigger number of them uploaded, I guess I'll know whether I'm wasting my time or not. But that's you know that's one of those functionalities which is there but developing rapidly.
Gotcha. So it sounds like potentially it might be in a space eventually to cross post as well automatically.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it definitely brings it to you. Like when
uh,
uploaded a video last night, and it's like, oh well, you could post this to UK and Canada also. Like that kind
mhm,
of functionality is there. Just at this point, I'm like, I don't do it because I'm going to have Cha-Ching posted to 16. But yeah,
gotcha. Okay.
yeah.
Well, speaking of cross posting and like for YouTube, for example, I know that there's been big news around the whole 8,000 watch hours needed for monetization now. So, what do you think about that? And what do you think Amazon influencers need to do to kind of get ahead of the curve for that?
So obviously, that is a big change. They're basically doubling the watch hours, but it's kind of predictable and scary and seems not doable. But there's literally 1 billion watch hours a day on TV now on YouTube. That's how fast YouTube is growing and how many hours are being consumed. So we can absolutely do it. As you alluded to at the beginning, I have two YouTube channels. One is a pure reviews only channel. The other one is my old travel channel, which has evolved basically into a review only channel. Um, and between those two channels, I'm over 80,000 watch hours a year. Tenfold of what you need to do. And there's there's no amazing personality, there's no vlogging, there's no a zillion fans who are doing it. It's just simply I I work hard to create content that works on YouTube as well as on Amazon, and and post it in a way that it is SEO rich, findable, usable, and the system, the old things needed to be niched down system is falling apart with the move from, the easiest way to encapsulate it is YouTube's moved from social media, where it was a social environment, to and past interest media. So, when you go on YouTube now, YouTube feeds you content that you would be interested in. So if you were if you're somebody who has been shopping for and is interested in gym equipment, and you go on YouTube and you start saying, well, which bench should I get? It's going to feed you content about that bench. If the next day you go on there and you're like, I've decided I'm not working out anymore, I'm not lifting weights anymore, I'm gonna be a pickleball player, and you say, which pickleball paddle do I get? You're gonna have a feed full of pickleball paddle videos, right? So if we make videos that YouTube knows what they're about, and gets positive feedback that the videos we make are interesting and people are watching them and the watch time is good, you know, YouTube will do the work of sending our content to the people who want to know about what we're talking about. So the world has gotten much easier for us on YouTube that way. Now it's just incumbent on us to make the content that people will watch for a decent amount of time. And I've personally kind of developed a formula for my videos to engage people, keep them interested, have them wait to get all the information at the end, the some nugget of information, like, we all know the hook thing, right? We're all going to tease something at the beginning of the video which we know is going to interest that person. We're going to say something about the pickleball paddle that's going to make them want to know it, but then we're not going to just instantly spit it out. We're going to talk about the other things about the pickleball paddle and then give them the information so we get that watch time that we want.
Yeah, kind of like leaving like this the open loop at the end of your introduction, and like, oh, there's three critical things that you need to know about this pickleball paddle, or
Yeah.
oh, there's one thing I wish that I knew before purchasing that. So that type of open loop that keeps people kind of watching to the end to kind of get
Right.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
It's those I call them I call them friction points. Like those
Hmm.
friction points that people generally have there's always something that somebody's concerned about with the product, whether is people like, or is the pickleball paddle doesn't put enough spin on it, or is it too powerful, or is it terrible, or some is the grip uncomfortable, whatever it is. That information, you know the key is to kind of know what they want to know and be able to tease that at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I've been looking into your course, Review Business Academy, and I saw some of those frameworks. Can you tell us a little bit more about what Review Business Academy is and who is it meant for?
So Review Business Academy is 100% meant for Amazon influencers who have had some success on Amazon, and they're looking to scale and expand what they're doing by improving their cadence and the formula of their videos, so that they work on both YouTube and on Amazon. So I teach them from the very beginning in terms of a formula of the pattern the video should follow, to a little bit of how to shoot videos, like where the camera should be, where the light should be, all those basics, which I've spent 10 years making these videos and they seem natural to me, but I had to spend 10 years developing and figuring out what actually works. So I try to share that for people, so to ramp up their speed of doing things. And then I share a couple AI tools that I developed to help them create the videos and then post the videos. The creation one's my personal favorite, because I created this app where you literally, if I take a picture of these glasses when I go out to shoot my video on the glasses, it gives you an idea of the hook for the video. Like, start your video this way. It'll give you the technical features of those glasses. It'll give you, we were talking about those friction points. It will give you probably the three most common things that people are researching on Amazon as, like, or commenting that didn't work right, so that you can speak to those in your video, because if people are commenting on it on Amazon, it's a lot of people are thinking about those things. So it gives you those subjects to talk about in your video. And I love that, because I don't know about you, I used to be walking around with my laptop and sitting out in the backyard researching the snorkeling gear and what to talk about. And instead, I have my phone, I take a picture of the snorkeling gear, and all the ideas are right there in front of me. It is absolutely accelerated my pace. It doesn't tell you what to say, doesn't give you a script. It just gives you those bullet point ideas of what you need to cover in your video. And then the other tool that I created is for the reverse posting. Once I made the
Mhm.
video about the glasses, you upload your video into the tool, and it gives you SEO rich titles. It gives you the prompts that you could drop in any AI you want, and it'll make cool looking thumbnails, an SEO rich description for YouTube, and the key thing, and it's a key tool, I believe, is SEO rich timestamps. I mean, really SEO rich timestamps, because it watched your video, and these timestamps are really accurate. Because if you want YouTube and Google to send people to go watch your video, we've all Googled something. If you go on Google and you Google reading glasses, at the very top, it's going to be, you know, three little snippets where it's going to send you to the exact point in the video. Like, if you asked, do these glasses hurt the bridge of my nose? And in your video, you talked at 3 minutes and 21 seconds about, does the glasses hurt the bridge of my nose? Those are those things that are at the top of Google. And my tool makes those SEO rich timestamps. So it goes straight to Google. And if somebody's asking that question, hopefully they're going to go right to your video at that point, which is super cool.
Wow, wow! I didn't realize that you had AI tools as part of your course as well. So I'm gonna have to check that out once I get to
Yeah,
that part.
definitely check that out, because
Nice.
they really they stunned me that I came up with those. And, well, not the idea, but that I
Yeah.
actually was able to develop them and get them to actually work really well, which I'm thrilled with, and my students have been thrilled with so far. So yeah.
I think a feature request for me, if I started using that tool, is if it is able to see the video and get the transcript of it, I wonder if, as I am filming B-roll for my product review video, it pulls those observations I have and then creates a script for me so that I can just create the A-roll. Is that something that is possibly in your roadmap in the future?
That wasn't, but I can add it to my roadmap. Actually, you know what is on my roadmap, and it's a little bit
What's
your
that?
fault, I will say,
Oh, really? What is this?
yeah, my students have been saying, "Can we update the product, the preparatory one for when you're shooting your video, to
Hmm.
be able to take picture of 3 products and have it give you, like, the cues for a comparison video?"
Ah,
Right?
yeah,
Instead of
yeah.
having to, like, do 3 separate and kinda create your own comparisons, like, have it give you those cues for a comparison conversation.
Yeah, comparison videos are huge, but you do them as well. I've seen some of your comparison
I do
videos.
them. I do I do that. I'll be honest, I've done comparison videos for
Mm.
this pure sake of doing comparison videos. You were the one who, really brought to light for me how they mechanically work on Amazon, and how that, they can be super effective there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Doug's course and his link will be in the description below. It's going to be my affiliate link. Check it out. It sounds like your course is really focused on how to make YouTube content, but also make it work for Amazon. Can you tell me a little bit more about YouTube as far as what people can hope to expect to earn on YouTube with your current following and the number of watch hours you have with AdSense? And let's just say affiliate earnings from YouTube. What does that look like if you're open to sharing that?
Yeah, I'm open to sharing that, because that was a big part of why I decided to create a course, was because, we all remember towards the end of the year last year, when Amazon was getting a little shaky and changing commissions and this, that, and the other thing. And everybody was very upset about it, right? And I had, just simply because of my path, being a YouTuber first and then going to Amazon, and really believing that YouTube style content would be and has been more effective on Amazon than the conventional. We went through this phase of the faceless UGC stuff, which, fit a spot in the ecosystem as it developed, but now it's less effective. We all know we need to do a little longer, more sophisticated videos. And so I could just feel the kind of the upsetness in the air in the community. And I was doing my end of the year numbers, and my 2 YouTube channels, they drove about $40,000 of revenue between those 2 channels, between the AdSense, the YouTube shopping, and the affiliate stuff, whether it be, other small affiliates or obviously Amazon. And the beauty of the YouTube thing, and I think the real power of the YouTube thing, is that it is actually evergreen. Because when you take a video and you put it on Amazon, and it will be there for probably 2, maybe 3 years, the longest, depending upon the brand. I mean, it doesn't matter what you think about and what you're making. The brand is going to update it every year, change it, change the name, change the model. That's the nature of business. That's how everything works. That's how marketing works. I don't care if it's like a stand for the light here. Next year, that stand is going to have a new model name, and it's going to be better than last year's stand. That's the whole nature of the business. So the content that we create today isn't going to be viable on Amazon for very long, beyond 2 or 3 years. Every once in a while, you might get lucky with something, but in general, everything develops and falls off. So because of my history and my experience, one of my very first products that I did a review of early on, 6 years ago or whatever, was a camping tarp. And I did this camping tarp video. And in the course of setting up the video, I kind of talked about how to set up the camping tarp, like to do a full informative video. It literally gets 1,000 views a day on YouTube. Not
Wow.
because it's some genius piece of thing, but just clearly I answered some question about how to set up a camping tarp. And people obviously end up at the campsite confused and they're like, how do I set up this camping tarp? Right. So that camping tarp, that brand disappeared off of YouTube. I mean, off of Amazon probably 4 years ago. But that video is still getting 1,000 views a day on
Hmm.
YouTube. So I'm able to take that, change the link, and I'm a big fan of Genius Link because I can now do that just from Genius Link. I don't have to go find all the videos, but change where that link points. And I could either have that link point to a camping gear shopping list. I could have it point just to my storefront. I could have it point to a similar camping tarp, whatever I want, but it is truly evergreen. That video is still driving revenue today. And so when I looked at my $40,000 of revenue from YouTube, I was like, unlike the money that we make on Amazon, this is so stable and so reliable. If I stopped doing anything tomorrow, it would still
Hmm.
generate that $40,000 next year and the year after. I mean, at some point it's going
Yeah.
to peter off, but infinitely more reliable and plannable and stable than what we have on Amazon, where we're very much subject to the wild fluctuations of what goes on Amazon. Still, reality is I probably make 4 times as much on Amazon, which is why it's so important that I make this really effective content that works both on YouTube and on Amazon. But I'm building both of those platforms at the same time so that my business has a nice wide footprint where I'm generating revenue. So I don't have the same anxiety over whatever Amazon's going to decide to do because everybody's accepting every creator campaign, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've inoculated myself a little bit to that
Hmm.
by the
Hmm.
stability of YouTube.
No, it's great that you've diversified and have a pretty good footprint with YouTube. You're earning $40,000 a year, and that's essentially passive income at that point. You might have to change a link once in a while, but
Right.
that's about it. For that tarp example, do you change it to a different tarp, an idealist with a whole bunch of tarps, or like what do you exactly change that Genius link to?
Right now, I have it going to basically a kind of camping idealist, is where it's going to.
Okay, so it's a
I've
camping
played,
idealist.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
because I'm assuming, working with the concept, somebody's camping, they're camping, I think, I even think the link says my favorite camping products, like
Hmm.
it's something like that, and they can go to Amazon and have an ideal list, and we all know that unlike on site where you can make revenue if somebody watches the video and buys that specific product, once I get that person to go to Amazon from YouTube and start shopping, you're going to make revenue on everything they get on that shopping trip. So, like, if they go to look at my list and then they decide they need diapers and they need a new shovel and they need, some paper plates for the house, you're going to make commissions on all of that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's why it makes it so much more effective to have that YouTube presence to get those like halo sales, or what do you call it?
Right.
Like in the cart sales, right?
Yeah, right.
Um,
And additionally, to do that, you don't have to be monetized, right? Like, so
right.
on your journey to get to your 8,000 hours and get yourself monetized, you're still making those affiliate sales off of YouTube. And I will also say I do have some kind of cool tips and trick to help people get monetized. And that's kind of like part of what I do. I do like I offer a free 15-minute channel review with people if they want to. And there are always instantly, whether they take my course or not, there's instantly 2 or 3 very actionable things that people can instantly change. Normally, people who don't have my experience wouldn't know to do these things, and even content creators have been doing it a long time, they kind of forget them and stuff. So there are always a couple really good actionable things that come out of that conversation to really drive those watch time and revenue through the links in YouTube.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you, Doug. This is so much information that you've shared with us. We have like insurance, Logi 5,
But
YouTube, your course,
I'm gonna add
VAs.
one more. Wait, I'm gonna add one more. One more
Okay,
to
give
the
us one
Logi
more.
5.
What do you got?
No, the Logi 5 thing, which is important, they are, we'll include my affiliate link, but they have a founders program where it's time sensitive. You could get in the next month or so. If you go on there, you get a 50% lifetime discount for Logi. So if you go in and you sign up, even if you just sign up for the most basic thing, just to test the water on it, so that you lock in that lifetime discount. So like if you sign up for silver and you want to just try it out for a little bit, in 2 months, 3 months, let's say you're making more revenue, you could then jump up to platinum if that's what you wanted to do, but you still got that 50% lifetime discount locked in. So that one is a little time sensitive, and I would definitely say jump on that and at least get in there and explore and try it out. There is zero chance that you're not stunned by how cool it is.
Well, I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doug, for
Yeah.
joining
Yeah.
us. The links will be in the description below, and also check out Doug's channels. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I love it.
All right. Take care.